Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Gift or Gete. In our top story, President Goodluck Jonathan commissions the Olorunshogo Power Project, says he has delivered on his promise in the sector. Also in this program, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, meets with the ECOWAS Commission President as part of efforts to guarantee peaceful polls. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps raids suspected oil and cable vandals in Lagos. Outside Nigeria, the United States says it will continue to push for the re-establishment of diplomatic ties with Cuba to help in improving its human rights record. It's so good to have you. Stay tuned with us. Now details of the headlines and other stories. President Goodluck Jonathan says the federal government has invested about $8.26 billion in the power sector through the National Integrated Power Project (NIPP). Jonathan disclosed this at the inauguration of a 750 MW Olorunshogo 2 power station at Olorunshogo in Ifo Local Council area of Ogun State. Napoleon Mome has more in this report presented from our studios.
The president, while speaking at the inauguration, explained a total of $650 million of the amount so far spent on the National Independent Power Project was committed to the Olorunshogo power plant.
The federal, states and local governments have so far committed about $8.26 billion on NIPP projects through the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, that is the popular NDPAC, out of which some $650 million was expended on the construction contract for this Olorunshogo power plant.
Jonathan added there are 10 other power projects ongoing across the nation, while also recalling that he inaugurated 2 in Kogi and Ondo State in the year 2014. The president expressed happiness over what he described as the continued delivery on his campaign promises, including that of reforming the power sector. The president pledged that the interface between the government and the private sector on the privatization of the power sector will be completed by year 2070 if voted into power.
When the transitional phase from 100% control of the power sector to 100% control of the private sector, this interface needs to be properly midwifed and managed. And that will not take us too long. In the next 2 years, this interface will be properly sealed and Nigerians will take the power.
He added the power plants in Kogi and Ondo states have been privatized, while that of Olorunshogo is in the process of being privatized. Minister of Power Chinedu Nebo, in his remarks, says the commissioning of this power project is part of President Goodluck Jonathan's commitment to the development of the power sector.
Under your bold and courageous, as well as purposeful leadership, the power sector has recorded major world-acclaimed landmarks in policy direction with the successful privatization of the generation and distribution subsectors and significant addition to power generation capacity with the completion of more NIPP projects.
He added the challenges facing the increased power generation that has led to the limitations in power supply is due to the activities of vandals.
President Goodluck Jonathan says a victory for the People's Democratic Party in the upcoming general elections will free Lagos residents from oppression. He made this known while speaking to leaders of market women groups known as Iyalojas in Lagos and environs who were on a solidarity visit to him at the State House, Marina, Lagos. Jonathan, who was reacting to the complaints of high-handedness and witch hunting made by the market women against the All Progressives Congress-led Lagos State government, says the PDP will provide the enabling environment for all traders in the country. He commended the women for supporting his re-election bid and urged them not to be intimidated by their opponents. Earlier, the leader of the market women, Aminat Hussein, told the president that he had stood behind the PDP since its inception, but regretted that the members suffered harassment under the Lagos State government. Ministerial nominee Musilio Banikoro, who led the group, told the president that the group is working to tell the world that the ruling party in Lagos are not untouchable, adding that the APC will be shocked on election day. The ECOWAS Commission has been emphatic in cautioning members of the opposition and the ruling party against acts inimical to peaceful election. This, according to President of the Commission, Kadre Kouadraogo, is because of the importance of Nigeria to peace and stability in the sub-region. He told the presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, in Abuja, ECOWAS and the rest of the world are looking forward to a trouble-free process.
From 20th of January, here in the geostrategical zone of Nigeria, they came back on the 9th after the postponement of the elections, but we had a debriefing session with them. So they've made their observation and their recommendations, and we have decided to engage all the stakeholders to exchange views and to share their findings and their observation.
Encouraging. On our own part, even before the Abuja Accord, which Kofi Annan presided over, we made several statements to our supporters that we do not expect our real supporters to be rude, not even taking arms against anybody. We said that several times, even before that accord. And of course, after the accord, we'll continue to ask our supporters to show restraint under any provocation. And we have successfully toured 35 out of the 36 states. We have conducted at least, I think, 6 or so town hall meetings. Some were held independently of my attendance by the vice presidential candidate. Some by me in Lagos, Kano, here in Abuja, and the rest of the geopolitical zones. So we are really keeping on the contact with all Nigerians, and we intend to maintain this pressure until the election takes place.
The ECOWAS Commission has also reaffirmed its solidarity with Nigeria in its quest for free, fair, violence-free and credible general elections. This was a message delivered by the Commission's delegation led by its president, Kadre, at separate meetings with key political stakeholders, including President Goodluck Jonathan, Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress and Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Attahiru Jaga. Speaking after an audience with President Jonathan at the presidential villa, the ECOWAS president said the Commission will support Nigeria through a successful electoral process. He also stressed the need for a peaceful process and respect for the Constitution, while appealing to political parties, politicians and their supporters to play by the rule. The All Progressives Congress has expressed appreciation to the Nigerian military for its readiness to deploy troops for the March 28 and April 11th elections, but says that its services would not be required. It says the soldiers would be better utilized in other pressing areas, especially in the combat of insurgency and protection of the nation's territory integrity. The party's presidential campaign team made its position known against the backdrop of the assertion by INEC Chairman Tahiru Jaga that only service chiefs can guarantee the sanctity of the March 28 date for the presidential election. The campaign team said in a statement issued by its spokesman, Garba Shehu, that the idea of having the military chiefs determine when elections will hold is a mockery of democracy. It called on INEC to take cognizance of different court rulings on the role of the military in elections and its readiness to deploy troops for the 2015 elections. The party's campaign spokesman insisted that the only role assigned to the military by the military is to protect the territorial integrity of the country and not to determine if and when an election should hold. A cross-section of residents of the Federal Capital Territory are convinced that the presence of soldiers on election day would ensure a safer atmosphere for the rescheduled elections. The All Progressives Congress had recently said the military should not be deployed during election and freely cited a court judgment outlawing deployment of troops for election day. But some Abuja residents are insisting that soldiers would ensure the safety of voters who are already afraid of carrying out their civic responsibility as a result of the tensed political atmosphere.
They're going to control them. Everybody wants to be a winner, nobody wants to be a loser. Let the military be the security on ground.
The decision of the court is right regarding the use of military in an election. This is democracy. The military as an institution stands on its own. The need for military to involve in an election in any state, like US and part of any country, is not to be involved immediately. But if there is any problem, any challenge, any conflict or controversy, they can come in. The need for military to involve at this point is not so. One, what is the role of police? The people that are supposed to involve is the police, who are trained to be civil. But when involving the military, you are not putting much load on the military. Then I will ask again, what then is the role of the mobile police force? They were being trained to stand on alert in case of any emergency. By making military to involve in politics, it's giving them a lot of tax. We have a lot of challenge in the northeast and many parts of Nigeria. They should be ready available for those challenges ahead. Their major role is to external defense of this country.
APC stalwart Bukola Saraki has described its growing rate of political violence in Kwara State as a threat to democracy. Saraki has described as inimical to democracy the war which is between the major political parties in the state, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, and has resulted in loss of lives and property. He called on all political stakeholders in the state to curb political violence and urged their supporters to desist from the violent act or face the consequences.
And I think that as my view, which is the trend now globally, is that political leaders will be held responsible for any of these activities. And they should all remember that there are international criminal courts that address if anybody instigates this kind of violence, and they should be held responsible. We have known by our antecedent, as far as we are concerned, we know here in Kwara we have the majority. We are preparing for election. We have nothing to gain. They are just trying to incite us, trying to make us do things. But I've told our supporters to stay calm. It is not by destroying billboards that wins you election. Whether a billboard or poster does not win you election. It is the people. And most of them know that, as you see, I mean, over the last month or so, you've seen the trend. The trend on a daily basis, people are decamping for PDP. I don't think you've reported any APC person decamping to PDP.
In his reaction to the ill treatment of the leaders of the APC, and Saraki reiterated the readiness of the masses for change, as he warned that the people's calmness should not be taken for granted.
But you see, what you will fail to understand is that it is even gone beyond us, the leaders. This is a movement. This is people are determined, and people are really committed to see that this change happens. And these are the sacrifices we all have to make at this moment of time. But what I would like to warn everybody is that they should not take the calmness of Nigerians or the patience of Nigerians for granted, and they should not push the country to the breaking point, because there's something that is clear, that Nigerians want change, and Nigerians want to exercise their right and vote. And anything that would prevent that, then those people who do that must take the responsibility of the fallout of whatever happens.
On election postponement, Saraki asked Nigerians to be patient and see what the security agencies want to achieve in the next 6 weeks. Yeah.
For that we must be responsible as leaders, and some of us who are in the National Assembly to be looking ahead, because you've asked a very pertinent question. If you could not provide security in 6 years, why will you do in 6 weeks? Well, the NSA has come to say that we should be not worry, there will be no postponement, and that's why I said that beyond the NSA, the Commander-in-Chief too should give that kind of assurances to Nigerians. Even in the event of that, that is why I say that the National Assembly should look at the Constitution and the provisions that will ensure a smooth transition in a democratic process, that will ensure election come if, as you rightly say, something happens along the way and they cannot meet those dates. But they are telling us they can't meet those dates. We have to take them for their words for now, but also have backup.
Members of the All Progressives Congress in the Senate say they were resolved to stop the reappointment of Senator Musiliu Banikoro as minister following his alleged indictment in the use of the military to rig the Ekiti governorship election in June last year. Spokesman of the APC Senate caucus, Babafemi Ojudu, explained that all the senators from the ruling People's Democratic Party was also being co-opted into the struggle. He confirmed that APC senators had started mobilizing themselves to frustrate Banikoro's clearance and approval for fresh appointment. Ojudu, representing Ekiti Central Senatorial District, also claimed that federal lawmakers from her state would set in motion procedures for the taking over of the legislative activities of the Ekiti State House of Assembly. Explained that both chambers of the federal legislature would have taken over the responsibility of the state legislators if the Senate President David Mark had not halted the process in December last year. He, however, lamented that the alleged illegality being perpetrated by 7 PDP members of the 26-member of the Ekiti Assembly would have been curtailed if Mark had not stopped a motion for the takeover of the upper legislative chamber. It's CoreTV Primetime News. We will be back after this timeout. Stay with us.
I'm so happy every day because I'm healthy and strong. Playing, jumping, here I go. Scott's Emotion helps me grow.
A daily dose of Scott's Emotion, which combines omega-3, calcium, vitamins A and D, supports the healthy development of your child's brain and body. Scott's Emotion promotes active minds and strong immunity in growing children. New Scott's Orange Flavor Multivitamin Emotion.
Welcome back. It's CoreTV Primetime News. Now, a reminder of our top stories. President Goodluck Jonathan commissions the Olorun Sugar Power Project, says he has delivered on his promise in that sector. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammad Buhari, meets with the ECOWAS Commission President as part of efforts to guarantee peaceful wars. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps parades suspected oil and cable vandals in Lagos. Now, do not forget that you can also catch us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter at CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV News. We continue with the rest of our stories. Lawyers across the country have described as unconstitutional and illegal the Niger State Governor's action, Babangida Aliyu, in handing over of state affairs to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Adam Usman, instead of his Deputy Governor, Ahmed Ibeto, who recently decamped to the All Progressives Congress. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana says Aliyu's action implies he is treating the government of the state as his party's affair. Falana described his action as unconstitutional and cited that the deputy of the state, as provided by the Constitution, should take over the affairs of the state in the state and absence of the governor. Another Lagos-based lawyer, Festus Keyamo, says the governor had flouted the provisions of the Constitution and had reduced the constitutional issue to a mere political affair. Also, activist and lawyer G.T. Ogunye urged the people of Niger State and Nigerians at large to condone the action of the governor, describing it as not permissible under the Nigerian Constitution. As the date for the governorship election approaches, the Social Democratic Party candidate Seyi Makinde says he is the candidate to beat and is not jittery of the political antecedents of those contesting with him. The candidate, nicknamed Omi Titung by his admirers, stated that he is a departure from the past, assuring residents of a new dawn if given an opportunity to serve as governor. Omota Yualo has the details.
Though relatively new but loved by many who have continued to show enduring support for him, the Social Democratic Party governorship candidate, Seyi Makinde, has been referred to as the freshness Oyo needs from its current political situation.
What we have in this government now is creating miscreants among the youth. They're not giving them the opportunity to bring out the best in them. And if you look at it in this country, they are the future of tomorrow. They are the leaders of tomorrow. And if we're not doing anything for the youth now, who are we actually representing?
Many people, they are doing thuggery. Some people are thuggery. Most of them, there's no work, there's not any other thing. And these old people, they are using them. When they want to vote, when they want to do election, they will carry many of them, giving them small money. Instead of eradicating them out for their future, they didn't do that. They are using them and dropping them when they are enter elections.
For Seyi Makinde, who's not been spared from the violence that has reared its ugly head in the campaigns, he says he remains resolute while adding that the issue of poverty, holding down the majority of the people of the state, will be decisively addressed.
If we had started tackling the issue of poverty in our environment, let's say through past government, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And when, in the guise of creating jobs, we've created OES job, taking away from the same dwindling allocation from the federation account, and then giving a graduate 8,000 or 10,000 naira on a monthly basis with no hope of, promotion, advancement, or doing anything good for themselves. I don't think that's what our people want for another 4 years.
He also assured the people that it will normalize the issue of tax burden on the poor.
I have promised the people of Oyo State, even though I'm human, I may not be right all the time, but I will be honest with them all the time. And that's why I'm saying with boldness that all of us, all the stakeholders are going to be involved in this government. I've done it privately, and I know I can do it publicly for the people of Oyo State.
With elections getting closer each day, politicians continue to make the best impression in the minds of the electorate. Omota Yualo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
And now to Bayelsa, where Bayelsa state government says the burial of the People's Democratic Party women leader who died in an auto crash along the East-West Road in Rivers State last week will hold on Saturday. The burial arrangement, which was announced by the Bayelsa state government after a closed-door meeting with the families of the victims, includes a service of songs at the Bayelsa Cultural Center. Sources from the Federal Road Safety Commission confirmed that 9 of the 11 accident victims were burnt beyond recognition, a development which has compelled the government to take the option of a mass burial. A family source, Cherish Itesi, disclosed that the State Governor, Serike John Dixon, has directed the Deputy Governor, John Jonah, to meet with the families over the funeral arrangement. Itesi said the burial venue would be at Ijo Heroes Park in Yanugwa, after the service of songs at the Bayelsa Cultural Center. He said those expected to attend include Dixon, Jonah, members of the State Executive Council, the legislature, party members, family members, as well as well-wishers. It also ordered that the affected families will organize burial ceremonies for the victims in accordance with the Jaw tradition after the burial by the state government. The Ekiti chapter of the All Progressives Congress has petitioned the National Human Rights Commission over alleged attacks on its members and supporters in Ekiti State by Governor Ayo Fayose and his loyalists. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Ben Angwe, while receiving a copy of the petition in Abuja, expressed shock over the weighty allegations against the governor. He assured them that the allegations against the governor will be thoroughly investigated. The party alleged that with the current wave of attacks on its members in the state, violence-free elections could not be guaranteed in the forthcoming polls if the trend was not checked. The APC alleged that Fayose's activities are undermining the peace pact recently signed by all presidential candidates in the forthcoming polls, including those of the People's Democratic Party, President Goodluck Jonathan, and the All Progressives Congress, Muhammad Buhari. In its petition submitted to the Commission by the Secretary of the party in Ekiti State, Omotosho Ayodele, the party said this wave of violence has continued with antecedent destruction of property, despite the series of complaints lodged with the police for their intervention. As the general elections continue to draw near, the Independent National Electoral Commission has pressed on with efforts aimed at showing its readiness for the polls to Nigerians. While addressing the press in Lagos, resident Electoral Commissioner Akin Orebi charged Lagosians to come out to pick their PVCs. He, however, expresses confidence that the card reader will help in eliminating all sorts of malpractices.
If in a particular polling unit, let us say 378 people come forward for accreditation, and anybody tries to hijack the boxes on the way and stuff whatever it likes inside there, and maybe forces people to change the figure, it doesn't matter. We already have the figure recorded in the smart card reader.
The Kaduna State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria has denied benefiting from an alleged 7 billion naira bribe handed out by the People's Democratic Party for distribution to Christian clerics. The executive director of Northern Christian Movement, Musa Dikwa, had claimed that the money was handed out to Khan to work against the candidacy of Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressives Congress. But the General Secretary of Khan in Kaduna, Sunday Ibrahim, told CoreTV News that the Christian body is non-partisan.
Go and ask, who is that very pastor? Is he really a pastor? I want you to make investigations to know, the circumstances surrounding such a person before you conclude that, he's a pastor. There are some pastors that are not pastors. They've not gone through the training, the basic training, and they just assume. Somebody will just wake up in the morning and just tell you that he had a dream, and that is why we have a lot of, proliferation of churches here and there. And we also have a lot of malams also like that. So I want to look at it that if the government will step into this, there should be a regulatory body for us to know who are pastors and who are malams. It will help us in curtailing, some of these incisive, preachings and messages that have brought us to where we are today.
The absence of an interpreter at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday stalled the trial of Aminu Guche, the alleged mastermind of 2014 bomb attack on a bus terminal in Nyaya, Abuja. The charges preferred against Guche, who was arraigned along with 5 others, were not read due to the non-appearance of the individual billed to interpret the charge sheet to the suspects. Presiding Judge Justice Ahmed Mohammed held that going on with the trial without an interpreter will amount to denying the accused fair hearing. In a short ruling, the judge granted a request made by Guche's counsel, Ahmed Raji, for accelerated hearing on the matter. He also adjourned till March 6 for arraignment.
So, and it's a very, very important requirement that when you are reading a charge or charges to an accused person who does not understand English language or in the language in which the charge is being read, there must be an interpreter. So unfortunately, there was no interpreter, so the matter has to be adjourned. And the judge has graciously granted us an accelerated hearing so that all the accused persons will know their fate in no distant time.
It's CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break. Stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back now to business. The Minister for Agriculture, Kinwumi Adesina, is among the 5 candidates who have been shortlisted to contest the presidency of the African Development Bank, AFDB, the bank said on Friday. The AFDB board said the selection of the most eligible candidate to succeed President Donald Kaberuka was done by a steering committee of the Board of Governors at the meeting held in Abidjan on the 11th of February. There are 4 others who have also been shortlisted for the election slated for May 2015. Kaberuka is currently serving his second 5-year term as AFDB president. He was first elected in 2005 as the 7th president of the bank group and was re-elected in May 2010 in Abidjan for a second 5-year term. Federal Capital Territory Administration says it has done no wrong by spending 3 billion naira on constructing 2 community plazas. In justifying the expenditure, government officials insist that the project will boost revenue and satisfy the aspiration of the business community. Minister of State for the FCT Olajumoke Akinjide says the project would help phase out dilapidated market structures in council areas. She explained that it would be through public-private partnership PPP arrangement, even though local authorities would have to do more to add value to the rural business environment. The naira on Friday depreciated by 5 naira to the dollar as it traded for 215 naira at the Bureau de Change segment of the official market. It also depreciated by 7 naira at the black market, selling at 217 naira to the dollar. Although there are speculations that the depreciation of the naira might be due to the closure of the retail Dutch auction system by the CBN, which was closed on February 18th, a decision by the CBN which was meant to control speculations had made other currencies to be scarce. And now it's time to join Sabina Izuku for Stock Market Report. Over to you.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabina Izuku. Equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today as the Nigerian All-Shares Index appreciated by 0.35% to close at 29,383.93 basis points. The market capitalization increased in the same manner to close at 9.8 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 277.75 million units of shares, valued at 6.56 billion naira, were exchanged in 3,714 deals. Seplat Oil topped the gainers chart to close at 445 naira 53 kobo with 8 naira 73 kobo price difference, followed by Presco, Ashaka Cement, Okomo Oil and Flour Mill. On the flip side, Cadbury topped the losers chart, followed by 40 Oil, Unilever, Dangote Cement and Champion. Meanwhile, United Bank for Africa topped the traders chart, followed by First Bank of Nigerian Holding, Access Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, and United Africa Company of Nigeria. And just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
And from Sabina, we move to Brownson Owana, who is standing by to give us stories on sports.
Thanks for staying with us on our primetime news tonight. I am Brownson Owana. Kwara United have retained 22 players and fired 17 ahead of the 2014-2015 Nigerian Professional Football League season following their instant return to top-flight football. The secretary of the club, Dele Oguntokum, said technical crew have informed management of their decision to drop players from the team that represented the club in the Nigerian National League season. He thanked the dropped players for helping the team return to the right place and wished them success in the future endeavors, stressing that the drop became necessary following the ongoing restructuring in the club. Jose Mourinho is set to sign a 2-year extension with Premier League side Chelsea at the end of the season, according to the Times. The former Porto, Inter Milan and Real Madrid coach is on the verge of leading the London club to their first Premier League title since 2010, holding a 7-point lead over Manchester City. Mourinho has always been keen to extend his stay at Stamford Bridge, but won't get around the signing of a contract until a hectic season concludes that has sometimes seen Chelsea playing 3 times a week in the Premier League, Champions League and the FA Cup. And of course, game returns to the English Premier League tomorrow Saturday as Aston Villa takes on Stoke City. Chelsea will play host to Burnley, while Crystal Palace will take on Arsenal. Hull City will play relegation-threatening QPR. Sunderland versus West Bromwich Albion. Swansea City versus Manchester United, while Newcastle will travel to the Etihad Stadium to take on Manchester City on Saturday. And on Sunday fixture, we'll see Tottenham taking on West Ham United. Everton versus Leicester City, while Southampton will take on Liverpool. And games that will be coming up in La Liga this weekend, we'll see FC Barcelona take on Malaga. Cordoba versus Valencia. Atletico de Madrid will play host to Almeria, while Deportivo will take on Celta Vigo. On Sunday fixture, we'll see Real Sociedad take on Sevilla. Atletico Bilbao will take on Valencia. Villarreal versus Elba, while Elche will take on Real Madrid. And of course, for games that will be going on in Serie A this weekend, we'll see Sampdoria take on Genoa, Napoli versus Chievo. Lazio will play host to Parma. AC Milan will take on Cesena. Parma will travel to Udinese. Verona will take on Roma, while Fiorentina will play host to Torino. And away from that to La Liga. La Liga games, big games coming up on Saturday. We'll see Mainz take on Eintracht Frankfurt. Augsburg versus Bayern Leverkusen. Schalke 04 will take on Werder Bremen, while Bayern Munich will travel to Pedron. On Sunday fixture, we'll see Freiburg take on Hoffenheim. Cologne versus Hannover 96. Hamburger versus Borussia Mönchengladbach, while Hertha Berlin will travel to Wolfsburg in the final game of La Liga. Finally, in the world of sport tonight, in the world of Formula One, Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo edged out Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen by just 0.01 seconds to set the pace for the second day of the second preseason test. Ricciardo and Räikkönen headed the leaders' board as teams stopped for long hours break at Barcelona, Catalunya. Sergio Perez's Force India was third, followed by Rico Rosberg's Mercedes. It was a more encouraging moment for troubled McLaren Honda as Fernando Alonso set the 5th fastest time. On that note, we end the sport news tonight. A very big thanks for being there. I am Brownson Owana.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And now outside Nigeria, at least 10 people have been killed and several others injured in 2 huge explosions in the center of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The blasts were heard near the Central Hotel, not far from the presidential palace. No group has said it is behind the attacks, but Al-Shabaab Islamist militants are battling the UN-backed government for control of Somalia. That's CoreTV Primetime News, but before we go, a recap of our major headlines. President Goodluck Jonathan commissions the Olorun Sugar Power Project, says he has delivered on his promise in the sector. We also told you that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, met with the ECOWAS Commission President as part of efforts to guarantee peace and pause. There was also a report that the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps paraded suspected vandals in Lagos. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Gift.